than what you've been getting in the last several years since we had our recession. We've been, in 2012, we went to a recession, and we spent hard days on trying to bring the city back, and we did come back. So stay tuned. Thank you.
All right.
All right, a couple of questions here now. Let me start here, and I selected this order myself. Mr. Williams, why don't you take this first question? The first question is, I would like you to respond to the mayor when he gave his opening. He said that he was the only one qualified to be mayor. Do you agree with him? No. And why not?
Well, we've had city managers who have been qualified, and most of those people who've been city managers, they all were managers of some city, and they had the knowledge of what was going on. Byron Nolan is an attorney. He wasn't a politician before he became. He was an attorney first. He wasn't a politician. So therefore, what he learned on the go. He learned on the job like all of us learn on the job. There's no school or no class where you can go to learn to be a politician. When you come in, people have these notions that, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And once they get behind where we sit and find out all the stuff that you have to do and all things you can't do, it's a totally different story, and then that's when the learning process begins.
All right. Mr. Wimberly, same question to you. The mayor seemed to think that he was the only one qualified. Do you believe you're qualified? Is the mayor wrong?
I love you, Charlie. Let me say right off that everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I think that a man's work speaks for itself. And I've sowed so many seeds within the city of Inkster over the last 20 years that I know that I'm definitely qualified and I'm definitely available, accessible, and I'm ready to move our city to its fullest potential. I love this community. I'm about Inkster and everything in it. So as we move our city forward, I'll just say this, that I know that with me at the helm, that Inkster is going to be a greater, better city. All right. Now, Mr. Nolan, all right, you have the response. You can respond. You said you're the only one qualified, but you've got two people who are either on council, who have been on council. Certainly they're qualified, aren't they, to be mayor?
No. There's two different things. Being on council, you create policy. You vote on contracts and land sales. Running the day-to-day operations of an organization takes a different set of skill sets. All right, you have to have a little knowledge about employment law, human resources, public facilities, a lot of different areas you have to be aware of. Prior to becoming the mayor of Inkster, I represented large organizations like Wayne County, Detroit Public Schools. That's where I cut my teeth and got my experience on how to make decisions for large organizations and protect them from liability and keep them moving forward. So that's what my qualifications are, and that's what they lack as candidates.
All right. Move on to another question. Mr. Wimberly, when you gave your opening, you said that you have resources to better run the city of Inkster, but I didn't hear what they were. Maybe you want to elaborate what those resources are and why your opponents don't have those.
Again, Charlie, I love you, but I won't be baited into that. But let me say this. Let me say this, that I've had a chance to be a part of the city of Inkster as it creates and has recreated itself over the last 20 years. I know that we've been through some tough times. However, when you talk about resources, I'm talking about the fact that as we talk about qualifications, I've actually been working in the city of Inkster. I've been on different charters and commissions and boards. I've been a part of the Inkster School District as it actually resurged. I was the person that actually worked with Trinity Transportation Group to grow that into a magnet in the actual region. When I say resources, I'm saying that I have relationships that I built over the last 20 years that'll help us go to the next level.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nolan, talk about resources. You talked a little bit about it. Also, too, let's get the mic. Can the people in the back hear me? And can you hear the candidates as well? No. Oh, Candidates, you've got to speak up really loud. Also, anybody have an open seat next to them? An open seat? You know what, if anybody wants to fill in, let's try to fill in if you can, all right? Mayor Nolan, I wanted you to address this. I talk about resources, something that you bring to the office that would be unique to the city.
Well, real quick, I mean, since I've been in position for 3.5 years, I have a record you can look at. Over the last 4 years, I've brought $5.7 million to the city of Inkster in grant funds alone. This past December, we received $150,000 grant from the state of Michigan to build an amphitheater in our new downtown Inkster. It'll be breaking ground on next spring. And in addition, the residents of the city of Inkster received $8.2 million in December to offset the debt that was left by the dissolved Inkster Public Schools. This has all just happened in 3.5 years. That's what I'm talking about, a resource.
All right. Something about resources that you bring to the table that would be unique to being the mayor of Inkster.
Well, as a council person, what we do is, we're basically the team. The mayor has ideas, he has visions, and he has, matter of fact, he has 2 teams. He has the staff that he works with, and they piece all those things together for him. And then you have council who votes on to make sure all those things go out.
Is that
So, now resources, council doesn't bring a lot of resources, but what I have brought to the city, I started at Lefty Charles. I was doing camera work for public access. And what I brought to the city at that time was, the city didn't have public access in city council. They wasn't showing the movies. They weren't showing the city council meetings. So what I did was I talked to the council and had them talking into take the meeting. So the citizens, you have your senior citizens, people who go to work, and people who couldn't come to the meetings. It would be nice for them to see that, and Troy is one of the product of that.
all right? Thank you, thank you. Okay, that's all right. Good. Do we have like a 5 seconds at all when they're 5 seconds? Do that. Could you just do me real quick? 5 seconds. Okay. All right. Let me move on to another question. All right. I don't want to bring up bad news, but Floyd dead. Does that name ring a bell to anybody? All right. Listen. I don't want to do this, but it got a lot of coverage in the media. Some people say, and the lawsuit was settled, a certain police officer went to prison, but is there a reputation issue still to this day in Inkster that there's crime, and perhaps crime with the police department? Let me start with Mr. Nolan.
There's certainly a stereotype that the city of Inkster has a lot of crime in it. I believe it's fiction. It goes back decades and decades. Although we do have crime like any other community, we have actually less crime than some of the neighboring communities around here. Everything that happens in Inkster gets magnified and put on the news. I'm not sure why, but we seem to be on the news for everything negative that happens. Since the Floyd Dent situation, though, we've done an excellent job under Police Chief Riley in changing the culture of our police department. You know that you haven't seen anything like that since. A lot of the old officers that used to work for us don't work for us anymore. We have a whole new mentality, a whole new attitude, and we work directly with the community, and we're engaged in the community.
Mr. Williams, same question.
That was, I would say, one incident that we haven't had another incident like that since, and we've had a good relationship with our police department over the years.
But is there a reputation problem in Inkster?
Well, like Dr. Mayor said, there's always been the stigma that there's a lot of high crime in the city of Inkster, and as we say, that the media seems to always focus in on cities of color. And we always get the back end of the stick.
All right, Mr. Willie. I got it.
Well, yes, I would say that we definitely get a bad rep. At the same time, I think that we need to be creative and be proactive. We always allow the outside people to stereotype us, as you will. But we need to redirect the narrative. I think we got a lot of good things happening in the city of Inkster, but as it relates to still being policed by our neighbors, where Westland and Dearborn Heights are actually policing us, as well as the state police and the county police. It just intends to get that perception that we don't have our city under control. But I know that with Chief Riley, we're definitely working in the right direction, so we would definitely continue that.
Let me start off another question here with regard to police. And I understand that Michigan State Police does have a role here in Inkster. What about, should Inkster have its own full-time police department, perhaps without the Michigan State Police? Would that be good? I'll start with Mr. Nolan.
Sure. I mean, first of all, we've always had our own police force. When we got in financial trouble, the state tried to assist us by giving us 8 officers for 40 hours a week each one, which we needed at that time because our police force went from 75 to 22. Under my leadership, we're back up to 28 police officers and we're growing every year. We look to add another 5 to 6 officers again next year, and then hopefully at some point the state won't need to be here. We'll just be us and the Wayne County Sheriff.
So I'm just so I'm clear, you don't want the state police in Inkster?
Now, I would prefer to police ourselves.
Okay. Mr. Williams.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. We definitely have to police ourselves, but we do have a full-time police department and doing an excellent job in the community. I actually love some of the key things that they're doing right now as it relates to just community nights out and actually working with block clubs. We need to continue that. We need to build upon that. And I believe that as we talk about bringing officers on, and Chief Riley and I, we've actually had a conversation or two, and I've actually donated to officers on my private time, actually my private dime, to bring police officers into our community. So we will definitely continue to build upon that.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, again.
Question about Michigan State Police. Does Inkster want Michigan State Police? Can you do without Michigan State? How can you get rid of them if you need to? I don't know.
Well, we would love to have our own police department back the way it was before we went into the recession. We would love to have it back. Right now, we do need their help. But I feel confident that in time we will have our position, our department back up to par, and we'll just have, like I said, the Inkster Department and Wayne County Sheriff.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the state for coming in and giving us the help that they did.
All right. One more issue, a question about police departments, because I think crime is still a big issue. It's still an issue, and maybe it's not. The mayor said it's decreasing, but and I don't really want you to give a letter grade to the chief of police. Is the chief of police here? I think I hope. Hi, Chief. How are you? Yeah, where's my car's not here? Don't worry about it, Chief. But the question, though, is as far as recruiting new police officers, what can the mayor do, if anything, to get new, good, qualified police officers here in Inkster? We'll start with Mr. Woodley.
I would say to support your chief. As it relates to his vision already, he's actually, I actually had a chance to meet with him when he first came into our community, and his mindset right off was to get the most qualified people in the streets. And for me, I would believe we just need to just support his vision as much as we possibly can from the administrative position as a mayor, and really just lean on his expertise and make sure that we do a good job at hiring the right folks.
How many people do you think you need to be an adequate police department and making it just Inkster? How many more police officers do you think you need?
I would say we need to get at least another 25 police officers.
25? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the police chief, either Chief Riley, or what can you do to bring more qualified police officers to Inkster?
Well, we need to keep supporting the police chief. Also, to get the police officers, they need to be vetted a little more. Because I guess in the past they weren't vetted thoroughly.
Vetted more?
Yes, it need to be vetted more, so we make sure that we can get a high quality of police officers in our community. And like I said, the chief, he's been doing a great job.
All right, and Mr. Nolan.
Sure. I can tell you what we are doing. What we're doing is trying to find people from our community. I believe community policing works. We find young men and women from our own community, pay for them to go to the academy, give them a job when they get out. offer them a house that they can get at a discounted price so they can make sure they stay part of the community and be wrapped around, be with the residents and the citizens and be actually part of the community. Most of our police force live other places right now. I think there's a disconnect sometimes when you don't know the people that you are serving.
How many, did I get a number for you? How many police officers?
If we get the number, we're at 28. If we get the number up to 40, I think we will be in a manageable situation.
And Mr. Williams, did I get your number? How many police officers do you need?
Let me get the company back up to 75. That's what we
75 total?
Yes.
How many do you have now?
We had 28.
28. All right. I want to go to the audience. This is your question, your forum today. So who has a question? Who's got a question? Couple of hands. I want to go back. Oh, you do. All right, right here. Why don't you start us off, okay? Why don't you stand up? Is that all right? Okay. Don't be nervous, okay? You're not nervous. Okay. What's your question?
And Mr. Williams and Mr. Wimberly, you have both been on council for years. Why now?
Yes. All right. Mr. Williams, go ahead first.
I've been on council 3 terms. Yes, why now? I want to be mayor now. Well, for years, I've been the council person who. So when you're a citizen, you call and you got an issue, I answer my phone, I'll call you back, and I'm the kind of person that goes to your house and sit down with you. Citizens say that, you know, hey, we never had a council person ever come to their house and sit down and talk with them about the issues that's going on. So they've been asking me, says, when are you going to start to run for mayor? And so I guess this time has come to us. I'm listening to the citizens who asked me this, they want me to run for mayor.
But is there some burning issue in the city? I guess I want to hear. You're on council. You've got the same number of votes as the mayor does, right? What's the difference?
Well, there can be a lot of differences there, okay, John? Well, let me put that this. I've been a part. I grew up in the city. I've been here 61 years. I love the city of Inkster. I've seen the bad days, I've seen the good days. And I do know that there's going to be another recession that's going to be coming. And we need to be preparing for that. And it seems that the present mayor seems to want to spend $30 million on a project right now, and I think that might not be a good idea for the city right now.
Mr. Wimberly, same question to you. Why now?
Well, I was on council in 2008, 2012, and I actually had an opportunity to become the mayor. The former mayor, Hilliard Hampton, had pretty much said to me, hey, you need to step up. You were the mayor pro tem, you need to step up. But because of timing, Charlie, that's the main thing, you know? It just wasn't the right time for me. I was 32 years old at the time, and my kids were a little bit younger, and it was important for me to actually work and provide an income for them. Now with, again, my experience, I've actually created a business over the last 6 years, and I've been really involved in the community and been giving back all the way across the board, and I believe that it's just time for me to step into that leadership position.
Is there one burning issue that you really disagree with the current mayor on? That's why you said, you know what, I gotta do it now.
Well, again, Charlie, I would just go back to the time, and again, the time is right for me. With my experience, I just believe that I can move our community into the right direction.
Okay, Mayor, why did you say, you're not upset that there's a couple of challengers, are you?
Oh, I'm glad there's a couple of challenges. I mean, first of all, we want people to be active in our community, and I understand in 2015, the city was trying to they were trying to extinguish our city. They took away the public school system, they put it under state receivership. When we were in the hole and no one knew how to get out of it, I decided it's time for me to run that so we can go to the project.
What acts do you plan to implement to achieve those goals?
Progressive community, do you want to define that a little bit?
Well, progressive just means you're moving forward with change to not do things in the status quo.
Okay, good question. All right, let's get that to, no, I don't have a cheat sheet here, but let's get, how about Mr. Wimberly? Why don't you take that one?
One question.
Progressive. How to make Inkster more of a progressive city? Really, I think the question, tell me if I'm wrong here, how do you distinguish Inkster from Westland or Dearborn or Detroit or whatever, right? How does Inkster stand out? What can you do? That makes sense? All right, thank you.
Well, let me say that Inkster has a rich history and a rich heritage. You know, we need to, as a community, we need to look at those things to really move our community forward and then make it a community where people want to actually come and visit. At the same time, we need to move into the 21st century as relates to education overall. And cultural arts, I think, is a big part of that we can play into that.
Sure. I mean, what we're working on now is to transform our city. Unfortunately, we've been, if you look at it from a positive, we have opportunity to redevelop our commercial corridors, Michigan Avenue, Inkster Road, Middle Belt, and that's what we're currently doing. We want to transform our city into a destination. Right now, people don't have a reason to stop when they drive through the city of Inkster. We want to give them a reason to stop, spend their time, spend their money. We're going to start with the downtown development, and then we're going to build an entertainment district that's similar to the west side of Dearborn once we get that project started. So that is the commercial vision. We have a lot of other community development things I want to do too from the residential side.
Where is this entertainment section going to be in Inkster?
It's going to be placed somewhere on Michigan Avenue. Right now, we have 8 seedy motels on Michigan Avenue. We have 3 of them closed currently. We're going to look to close the other 5, and we're going to redevelop that area and make it an entertainment.
How are you going to close this hotel?
When I took off, I told them you can't do business here. So we just sent the inspectors over there. None of them are up to code. They're dangerous. They're running drugs out of there. They're doing prostitution. And we're shutting them down.
The city of Inkster has a lot of talent in the city of Inkster. And what the city needs is, citizens need a chance. We need incubators, we need pop-up stations. We need to give these citizens a chance. We need to make Inkster a destination for business and friendly companies to come and invest in.
What business does Inkster need right now?
We need the city needs some of everything, but what we need and what the citizens are asking for a grocery store and a restaurant.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
What the citizens are asking for is a grocery store, Kroger's, and a sit-down restaurant. And we do need our school system back.
Okay, new question.
Greetings. I'm going to start off with facts, followed by a question. My name is Sumyar Saray. Some of you may recognize me from the Flint, Michigan water crisis. I am an Inkster native, and I've been fighting for the city of Inkster and the surrounding regions for many years. Here are the facts. Under Mayor Nolan's rule, the city of Inkster has never been safer. Statistics do not lie. Meaning there's less crimes on the streets. He has been relentlessly fighting for our schools. One question, I'll finish up, my time is up. Where was the pre-existing city council when they were shutting down our schools and opening up liquor stores on every corner and failing every single child in my generation? Where were you?
You don't want the question, again.
I mean, I wasn't on the prior councils. Obviously, I was involved and I watched them. I started attending council meetings in 2011 so I could learn what was going on in the city. It was a hot mess. We had a lack of leadership in the past. And I think that's why the citizens got frustrated and decided to change the charter when they got somebody they could believe in and trust. And that's what we did. So now we're moving the city forward.
Mr. Wimberly.
Well, first of all, it's ridiculous. During 2008 to 2011, we were in a recession. The whole country was in a recession. That's what we have to remember. We had to do what we had to do as it relates to reducing the number of whatever it was across the board in order to create, continue to create our services within our community. As it relates to the schools were actually targeted, unfortunately, by the state of Michigan, and they were dismantled because of consolidation. throughout the state. That was the state's plan. That was not the city of Inkster or any one person's plan. So we have to understand what's happening as a community that most oftentimes we're divided. Even today, we can see that we're divided. But I want to make sure that we're clear when we say this. Even though,
So hold on, let me see.
no matter what, Charlie, go ahead.
Hold on, let me see if I understand you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not from Inkster.
Go ahead.
But let me say, are you saying that the city council or the mayor couldn't have done anything to keep schools in Inkster?
We tried, yes sir, we did try. Now understand this, that again, Inkster is split up into 4 school districts, and it's always been 4 school districts and Inkster Public Schools at the time. What had happened was they looked at what was happening in the community as far as the community involvement, and it wasn't no community involvement. When the schools closed, I was actually there at Inkster High School. 20 people showed up when the schools got closed down. So when we talk about community engagement, we got to be engaged on every level, not just when we think it counts for us.
All right, let me get Mr. Williams on this. Focus on schools, I guess, and what the mayor can do to get the schools back here.
Well, mostly what they said is true. We have school board meetings now. People need to realize you elected a city council to run the city, and you elected the school board to run public schools. So they had school board meetings. Now, a lot of us in this room did not show up to a lot of those school board meetings. We were all lax, and the reason why we don't have our school system. At the time, we were making a lot of trips to Lansing at that time to talk to the school, the state school board on how to save Inkster public schools. But as Ms. Mundy says, our school system was targeted. The school that they were supposed to shut down was Pontiac. Instead, they targeted the city of Inkster.
All right, let's do this. Let's try to get about 30 seconds or so. I want to try to get to a lot of people. Now everybody's warmed up to questions here. Question, real quick.
My question is on transparency. Right now, there's a $4 million lawsuit against the city that names the mayor and his cousin special advisory to the mayor, and a lawsuit.
Is this your lawsuit?
Yes, it's the lawsuit. Yes.
You're suing the mayor and the council.
I'm not. For one of my families. Okay. My question is tomorrow at 9:00 a.m. your attorneys are putting in to seal the records of the mayor's deposition. Being a county official, elected official, why would you do that? Wouldn't you want the transparency for the taxpayers to see what is going on?
Okay, Mayor, I have a lawsuit, but anyway, Mayor, assuming you do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely aware of the lawsuit. Just so we're all clear, this is a lawsuit, Sweet Bee Dispensary versus the city of Inkster. Mr. Patrick Wembley is one of the people suing the city of Inkster. And what they're trying to do is, what our lawyers are trying to do, is to get a protective order placed in. So when we do depositions and they take our testimony under oath, it can't be used for, let's say, political reasons or to put on flyers.
Let me ask you a question. I did that story. I know that Sweet Bee story. There was some allegation, Mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you had an interest maybe, or a family member had an interest in medical marijuana?
That's one of the, no, they said I had an interest.
Do you have an interest in it?
Absolutely not. I have the paperwork, the documents from the state of Michigan and to the city of Inkster with me tonight. For anybody to look at, it shows who owns what interest in all of the dispensaries that are in the city of Inkster.
Do you think it's a conflict of interest to have an elected official to have an interest in a business that may be doing business with the city?
It is.
Well, the business is not doing business with the city,
Well,
but I think it's against state law to have an interest in a medical marijuana
And just
facility.
one last question on this issue. I think, was it Chuck Norton? Is that a relative of yours?
I'm not really anybody named Chuck Norton.
Maybe did I get it wrong? As a cousin? No, I can't read.
Yes, he is a relative.
Does he have any involvement in closing down that Sweet Bee?
Absolutely not.
I don't want to belabor that point here, but let me get another question. Oh my God.
Back there, Charlie. Over there, Charlie.
Just to give a little information about the dispensaries and the need in a community that should rise much greater than where we are right now. and there is conflict between dispensaries, every CVS, every Walgreens, every Rite Aid will actually have CBD oil available. So we have to understand that this is more than just, you know, the weed and the dispensary. My question is, I am a very fruitful participant and community advocate. And I am actually trying to ask, how do we raise our property value when I have actually bought my home 15 years ago at almost $200,000, and there are people running next door with $50,000, $25,000. Where are we going to be able to raise the property taxes so we can value ourselves and our community?
Good question on the property issues, raising property. Thank you. Let me get Mr. Williams on that question real quick. Property value, what can the city do to increase property values so she can recoup her money or make a profit? Which helps the city.
To increase your property values, we need to bring in new homeowners, new businesses, and so we can offset those taxes. In 2010, we had a population of 25,000 citizens. We went through a recession. You know, we lost quite a few people. We don't know exactly what. Next year is the census year, 2020. We're hoping that we have enough citizens here so we can defer without that we're getting. But the whole object is to bring more citizens and more business, more homeowners and more businesses in the city so we can offset.
Let me just get real quick. I want on this property issue. Let me get to Mr. Wembley here. What can you do, the city do, to increase property values?
Well, we actually have to have amenities as well. You asked a question earlier about what the citizens need. We need a grocery store, we need restaurants, we need businesses, we need parks, we need schools. We need things to actually create value within our community to raise those property values as it relates to your homes, of course, and of course selling your homes and new home ownership.
Mr. Nolan, real quick.
It's just what they said, supply and demand. You have to make the place desirable. More people want to live here, and that's what will raise the property values.
Okay. Next question.
Real quick, Mr. Wembley. My question is, we know that the city has debt. My concern is that you're suing the city, but you're trying to become mayor. Why would you put the city in more debt if you win and then turn around and be the mayor?
Are you suing the city? What are you suing the city for?
First of all, let me say that I'm not suing the city because it would be like I'm suing myself. Okay? So understand this, it's my business. My business is suing the city because that was the only recourse. But let me say, Charlie, let me say this, okay? That the lawsuit could have actually been dissolved or resolved 2 months ago, easily. The city actually sent my attorneys. They sent my attorneys a request saying to us that if you drop the lawsuit and you sign over our properties, that you can actually have your license back. And I said no.
Just tell me real quick, license for what? Because I don't know what it is. What is it? Is it marijuana?
It's marijuana dispensary.
You're the marijuana guys?
Yes, I am. I mean, not currently, but I am, yes.
I'm trying to learn, just so I know. And do you have an interest in a marijuana business in Inkster?
The business is currently closed, and yes, I do.
But is that, do you perceive that to be a conflict of interest?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not. All the other cities have that, and we're the ones poor. People don't understand it. They'd rather be poor. And then,
Hi, I'm a small business owner in the city of Inkster with foster care homes, and there's a lot of AFC homes in this city. What was your plan for, and I employ a lot of people from the Inkster area, but what is your plans for providing amenities to those adults with mental health illnesses and developmentally disabled? Because as of now, I have to take them out of the community to get different services.
Because why? Because Inkster won't allow
Have
it?
them such as nice parks.
Is this an Inkster issue or a state issue?
I believe it's an Inkster issue as well.
So you want to know?
I live in the city of Inkster.
So you want to know what the city can do to keep your adult foster care service in Inkster?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay, Mayor?
Okay, Sure. I can tell you what we're doing currently. We just started a new program this year with Gargara, and we are trying to reduce the number of calls that the police department and the fire department get to AFC homes. It's a big burden because people have medical issues, and then you have to call the police, and then that ties up our officers. So when crime happens, we're not available to go to the calls for the crime. We're also working directly with Detroit Wayne County Mental Health Authority to get the services brought to our community here. Actually, our police chief sits on their board. We just had a panel a couple of weeks ago here in this building regarding the services that we're bringing to the city of Inkster to make sure we service all of our residents.
Okay, let me get quickly, about 30 seconds. Mr. Wimberly.
Well, again, it just goes back to, she was saying parks. We need parks, we need recs, we need some things for those to actually be able to go out on like our resources for. So we need to figure out exactly what it is really our needs and be able to create those things for her.
Mr. Williams, real quick.
As the mayor has been said, we need to create those things for the people. Right now, we have those homes here, and until now, no one ever said that they needed those type of services. So we're glad that you're saying that now, so we can find ways to provide those services.
Quick question.
Okay. Wouldn't you all agree that the three services, the core service, Department of Public Service, police, fire, all equally important? If so, why is there such a pay disparity between the police chief, the director of the Department of Public Service, and the fire chief?
You want the police chief to make more money?
No, I want them all to be at least closer than what they are.
Who's making the most money of those three?
Police chief is, and there's like anywhere between 23 and 26% difference.
Why is that a problem?
I think, you know, when you've got differences in pay disparity, then that might cause some issues within the departments and with just...
Fair question. Mr. Williams, take that one real quick.
Now, those are department heads, and they fall under the premises of our mayor. He's their boss. He determines their pay raise.
Would you change the pay rate of any department head if you become mayor?
Say it again?
Would you change the pay of any department head?
I would sit down with each one of the department heads and their unions and negotiate a fair.
Which department head is not fair right now in Inkster? Who's making too much money? Or not enough?
Who's making too much? Which department head making too much money? The police chief makes more than the fire chief.
Okay.
You know,
all right, let me get to okay, so you wouldn't sit down. Mr. Wimbledon.
I would say that would be based upon experience, and it would also be based upon, you know, the load of the department. So you can't just say, you know, we got to make them all even across the board. So as the mayor, you have to look at each person's qualification and look at their position.
Is there anybody in the city making too much money? Too much money? Mr. Wimbledon. That's a fair question.
It's impossible.
Well, I would say that the mayor is actually making too much money. So let me just say the reason. Let me just say the reason why. Let me say the reason why.
How much does the mayor make?
Well, I mean, he makes about $131,000.
$131,000 for the mayor of Inkster?
Yes.
Is that too much?
Yes.
What city makes?
Well, I'm not going to say what.
Would you take a pay cut if you're elected?
Of course I would.
How much would you take?
Of course I would. Of course I would. Well, let me say this. I'm not running for the office for the money. So let's make that clear. I believe. Let me say this. In our community, where the poverty rate is above 34%, we need to look at every single thing that we're doing,
including cutting the mayor's salary.
Yes, sir.
What's the mayor's salary for the mayor of Inkster?
I would say about $75,000.
$75,000.
Yes.
Mr. Williams, did you cut the salary of the office you're running for? Nobody can hear that answer. Over here. Go on. The question is, would you cut your salary if you become mayor? Because do you think the mayor's making too much money?
what I would do, what I would do is, I would look at the charter and say, oh, this is what I do. I think that we need to have a...
Is he answering the question?
That's your question. That's your question. We need A person in council that's at large and give a percentage of the mayor's pay to that person.
What is that? I don't understand that. What is that? Okay. Hold on.
Okay, listen up. We have what we call we have a hybrid council, okay? We have 6 members and we have a mayor, where normally you have 7 members and a mayor. The mayor is the legislative body here.
Hold on, let's not get a government, this is not serious. How much money do you think is a fair salary for the mayor of Inkster?
Well, that's when the people of the city of Inkster, how much they want to pay. It's $10.
Mr. Mayor, it's a beautiful suit, by the way. I'm just saying. Do you think you are overpaid at $131,000?
Well, first, there's some newsflash. I don't make $131,000.
How much do you make?
105.
105. Is that too much?
Look at it like this. When they change the charter, the mayor not only has the ceremony duties of running the city council meeting, going to functions every day of the week, he also has to run the day-to-day operations. That's essentially what the city manager was making in the past, so that's how the compensation committee came about that particular.
Do you think that's a fair salary, $105,000?
Yes.
You even don't change it.
It's fair.
You can increase it.
Move on.
You can increase it.
I can't, I don't have the power to.
Gotcha, okay. Swipe, here we go.
On the last debate, the mayor said he was going to open up 8 medical marijuana dispensaries in the city. With 6.2 square miles.
Quiet,
Where are you going to have a school at if you have 8 more dispensaries?
Mr. Johnson, we have a limit in our city ordinance. We can only have 3 medical marijuana dispensaries, period. No, I said 8 medical marijuana facilities, not dispensaries. The different types of facilities are processing, grow, different transportation.
Let me just clarify the question. Are you talking about dispensaries or facilities or testing? There's a whole bunch of things.
Altogether, with 8 medical marijuana facilities, there's nowhere for a school to be built.
That's not what
Okay.
All right, we have all the land available. I'm sorry.
Let me try to help the question a little bit. Is there enough room in Inkster to have any variation on medical marijuana, be it a facility, a testing, all that distribution center, and a school?
Yes. First of all, we have schools. We have American International Academy with 3 campuses. We have the Browns where Inkster High used to be, Federal, and Lincoln Elementary. That's vacant land. We can build schools on all 3 of those different properties.
All right, new question.
The question is, who owned the Stardust? And did you buy the Stardust and sell it to your cousin, your special advisor?
Who's the question for?
Byron Nolan.
Sure. I'm glad you asked that question because I heard that rumor a few weeks ago myself. I kind of chuckled with that. First of all, no, I did not. I did not own the Stardust. I never bought the Stardust. Don't have money to buy the Stardust. Last year, the Stardust was lost through tax foreclosure by the county. I went to Pat when I saw her name on the list and asked her, hey, what are you going to do about this? We usually throw some sort of fundraiser to raise the money for her to pay her taxes. She said, Byron, I'm tired. I'm not going to do the fundraiser. I'm going to let it go. Then she changed her mind when she found out her next door neighbor who owns the liquor store wanted to buy her building and expand the liquor store. So then she went to my cousin, Charles Nolan, who's also in the bar business. They've been friends for 15 years in the Black Bar Association. And she asked him to pay the back taxes of $28,000, and then she would lease the property from him to keep the Stardust open for our community. That's what, in fact, happened. I didn't buy anything. They have a great relationship. We just dedicated the room down the hall to Pat Williams, and I'm friends with Dorsey Williams. So if I would have bought their business and took it, we would not be friends to this day.
All right, let's go. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question arose initially saying, well, the statement came from Mayor Nolan saying that he was the only one qualified. Then the response came out that that was not true. I have a $289,000 education. Doctor is in front of my name, PhD is behind it. And in the curriculum, I had to take city management courses.
Do you work for the city?
I don't work for the city. I'm actually in ministry where I control 122 churches. So with having that education, what educational backing do you have that says that you are qualified to manage a large city? You have income and all that.
Let's get, all right, educational background? Just go back here now, Mr. Williams, educational background real quick. That relates to operating a city or it's the equivalent. We got another question now.
No, I do not have a degree. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I took my daughter degree. I have 11 years of experience.
College and lifelong.
And I've been here for 11 years on council, working with all the mayors here, all the staff, and basically it's like a family here. You know, we all work together. It's a team.
Okay, education, Mr. Whibley, education background?
Yeah, I have 3 years in business administration, and I also have 20 years of experience in managing companies.
Mr. Nolan?
Bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan, Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Detroit Mercy, and 23 years experience as a trial lawyer.
All right. Go ahead, next question.
Okay.
How much
So we
education
now have a
do you
public
guys
school
have?
system.
Making all that noise.
So how do you plan to bring youth development? How do you plan to bring the public school system back?
Mayor Nolan, go
I'll
ahead.
take it. Since we're already working on it, I'll take that question. When communicating with the state, when they first dissolved the school district, the first thing they said to us, we will not entertain bringing a public school system back until you pay off the debt, which was $52 million. We just got 8.2 knocked off of that, so we're going to continue to work to get that debt drawn down.
Let me ask you this, and I apologize for interrupting. Let me just see if I understand this thing, because I know there's a lot of people have school questions. Does the city of Inkster have the ability to bring back a school system?
No.
Okay, so you got to go to the state, is that right?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. You're saying to me that there's a debt that the city has to pay before you're eligible to get a school? Is that my understanding?
Public school, yes.
How much is the debt?
Now it's $44 million.
How did it get so high?
Well, see, I think that's part of the story that's been left out here. They did plan to take our school district, but we're leaving out the part of the mismanaged by our school board, mismanagement by our principal. They ran the school district into
Hold on, I get it, I understand. Let me just try, okay? Let me just try. There are ways to generate money, right? Could you bond for that, just hypothetically?
Not without the state. Not
Hold
without
on, hold on. With the state, so what do people need to go to school? Another city?
They go to 4 different school districts.
I understand.
And we have 2 charter schools in the city.
So if the city of Inkster wanted to, could you, with permission from the state, come up with a funding mechanism, like a bond? I don't know if the taxpayer would support that, but would you support raising taxes to pay for a school? Yes. There's an idea. Would that work?
Yes.
Is there any thought about doing that?
Absolutely. What I would love to get the state, since they took the school district, they should take the debt with it. So if I can get them to wipe the debt, then we can start over.
Have you sued the city, or the state rather?
That should have happened under the prior administration watch.
You're the mayor now!
Oh, no, the statute of limitations is run.
So you're stuck with the debt?
We're stuck with the debt.
Mr. Whibley, to address the school funding issue, anybody want a school in Inkster? Is that a big deal? Yeah. It seems to me I'm getting that's a big deal. What can you do as mayor? These people would pay for money for a school.
Yeah, I think we need to take a page out of Detroit's book. Detroit Public
Detroit Public Schools?
Yes. So basically, understand this. Understand what they did in order to keep their schools. What they did was they actually split the schools into 2 districts. One was an old school district, which is the debt, where the debt is, and then they actually recreated a community school district. So as we create a new school district as it relates to a community school district, then we can actually work on decreasing the debt. Because we know that they should actually forgive the debt. It was not the board and the principles that the mayor is actually alluding to. It just wasn't that. It was actually the loss of kids.
Just the government. So
it was the government, and it was the loss of students.
Is there
the government?
Is there a way to pay off the debt? It seems to me you have to pay off the debt, or you have to get the state to waive it. There may be some legal issues there.
Yes.
Is there a way to pay? How are you guys paying off your debt?
Well, again, we would definitely have to lobby the state and petition the state. But what we have to do, though, is first we got to get out and vote.
Hold on.
We got to be a part.
Let me try this. I don't mean to dominate, but is there a fund balance in Inkster?
We have a $3 million surplus in the general fund right now.
That's not a lot.
No, not a big
All right, so you can't use fund balance. Let me ask you, Mr. Williams, real quick. School debt seems to me that these residents will pay if the vehicle is there. What can you do to get Inkster to have a school?
What I can do is go and have a talk to our current governor and see about having our debt erased.
Okay, let's get a new question real quick. We only have time for like one or two more, but.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, this is for those who are deeply invested into the small conflict between Mayor Nolan and Patrick Wimberly. In the event that either one of you win, would you still be able to work together to bring Inkster to another level, even though y'all have this type of conflict?
Mr. Wimberly.
Yeah, I would have to speak. First of all, I'm about Inkster, and Nolan actually met me in 11, and that's how he really got involved in the community. So I'm ready to push forward and push past whatever it is that you believe is a conflict, because I don't see one. Outside of the fact that, of course, my business is going through what it's going through. I love Inkster. I'll be here whether I win or lose, and I'll continue to invest in Inkster with whoever wants to be a part of it.
I have worked with Mr. Wimberly. I have no issue with Mr. Wimberly at all. We have a lawsuit pending. That's just life. That's part of doing business as a city. He has an issue regarding his business. It'll work itself out. I have no personal issue with Mr. Wimberly.
Would you hire him to head a department, maybe? If you
What department would that be?
I don't know.
He's got to send me the resume, bro.
Apparently they pay pretty well here. I don't know. Okay, next question.
I understand education has been asked about a lot this evening, but I am advocating on behalf of the youth that are here that are unable to ask questions because they're under 18. And this is the question that is posed to me for you. What about youth programs? The schools may be an issue to obtain with the debt that we have, but what about the buildings that we have in the city of Inkster that were our previous public school system? Can they be revitalized or put something in play for youth programs?
There's no school buildings.
Mr. Williams, go ahead. You got the mic. You're ready to go.
Those buildings were tore down. Those buildings no longer exist.
I think your question was, what about the buildings that exist?
They're gone, Charlie.
They're gone.
So what can we do to replace it for a youth program in the future? Youth programs, that's what they want. The kids, they want youth programs.
Youth programs.
Lots of programs.
But what we're working on now, we're working on revitalizing our parks and put some of the programs in our parks now. We realize we're trying to get back to our parks, because that's where our kids get in the parks.
Okay.
Any other program now, and then we have this building here.
All right, Mr. Wimberly.
Yeah, I would say definitely we had a building here, but also too, we have our churches. And we need to work with the programs that are here and existing to create better youth services and be engaged. From an administrative standpoint, being the mayor, I would definitely make sure that I'm at the forehead of that, making sure that we're all engaged and making sure that those buildings are being utilized properly.
Has the current council and mayor done enough to take care of the need for youth programs?
No.
Okay.
No.
How about that?
No.
There's more people over there.
I'm sorry, what was the answer? No. Okay, Mr. Nolan, go ahead.
First of all, there's never enough.
Over there, Charlie.
All right. But let me tell you what we've done. For the last 3 years, we've renovated 3 parks: Lamone Park, Middle Manor Park, which is right down the street, as well as Westwood Park. We're creating 2 football fields for our youth football program. Inkster Raiders field will be over at Westwood Park, and the Inkster Vikings will be playing over at Lamone Park. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing for our city. 3 parks. The previous 15 years before that, we hadn't put any money into any park other than Wheatley Park. Any park in the city of Inkster. So we've committed to at least doing 1 park per year to make it better, as well as we receive grant money for this building. We're building an outdoor workout side area and a track around this building so people can utilize this building more.
All right, let's get another question. We only have time for 2 more.
I'll try to speak really fast. My question is, what are the assets in Inkster? How have you supported them out of your own personal dollars and service?
Assets in Inkster.
Your most valuable asset.
What is the most valuable asset in Inkster, Mr. Nolan?
People. The people. The people, the residents of the city of Inkster are the most valuable asset in Inkster. And I supported that. Even before I was the mayor, I support organizations that help people. Anybody who's helping people, I support. But many of my people I support are not even on my team, they're not supporting me. I support them anyway. If they're helping the residents of the city of Inkster, that's all that matters to me. I can name them all. Citizens Who Care, the Good Fellows, both youth football teams, my personal money. I give away about 20% of my salary every year to community organizations.
Yeah, I definitely would piggyback off the mayor, what the mayor said as it relates to just donating to people within our community, all different types of organizations. But as it relates to assets, of course, the youth is our asset. And we have a lot of programs around our community. One in particular that I really love that's happening right now is the STEM program over at Camp Inspire. And I'm really involved in that. The Easter Summer Music Festival, Toys for Tots, all types of stuff. Actually, I've done so much in this community.
Let me get Mr. Williams real quick.
Ms. Winter and I have been involved in most of the same projects with the kids. There can still be a lot more that can be done with our youth. Talk about assets. Assets are our people and our children. They are our prized assets, and we need to cherish those, and we need to make sure that we can keep.
But one more time, this is it, last question.
You know what? Wait, hold on. Two. This young lady here and this young woman. That's it.
Previously, about a week ago, landlords went to court with the city of Inkster, and they were found not guilty on taking care of their property. We have abandoned properties, growing grass. There's a serial killer in Detroit. Do we want a serial killer to come to our city where our kids are hiding in these abandoned houses? How are these landlords or any property owners to these abandoned homes not being charged or anything? They're just being left scot-free. They put a post on Facebook and erased the Facebook post after they were being badgered with the answers of who is accountable for these abandoned properties and why aren't they being handled properly by the law?
Good question. Mr. Williams, let me take that one real quick.
The city is working diligently on trying to get the landlords, but we're taking the landlords to court because
they got found not guilty.
Hold on. I don't know about this lawsuit, but I guess let me just generalize the question though. Is the city, I think the question, despite the lawsuit, is the city doing enough to hold landlords accountable to fix up their property? Is that the question? Is the city doing enough?
we can do more, but what we're doing is...
What would you do more?
We try to enforce the law.
But you know, the law's not good enough. You gotta be out there every day.
You know what? Some of us are retired, some are not. Okay, now I'm retired. I'm out there every day. I do what we call see-click-fix. And I'm studying, shorting property back to the mayor and to the city hall. They send it to code enforcement and then they send it over to the judge. Okay, so now the city's doing what they should do.
Is the city doing enough, in your view, to take care of bad landlords?
I would say what needs to be done needs to be enforced by the court. Okay, we're doing our portion, but it has to be enforced by the court.
You're right. You're totally right on that one. Let's get another question here. We're running low on time.
Okay. Well, first, I am 18, so just let you know. I am currently now a student at Romulus High School. Lived in Inkster for 9 years. Went to Bear Lewison, very good school. Sad that they closed down. I want to say that this whole year I have complained to my school that I had to pay or come out my own pocket or do work somewhere just to get to school, and that nobody was there to help but people in Inkster. And only people that helped were people from either churches or people from a program that I attended that still I currently run. Well, I don't run. I attend the program, but I manage the kids at Inkster Boys and Girls Club, and they're the only people that have helped me get to school without having money.
So your question would be what?
When is somebody can do anything to do anything?
Why isn't the city doing what other people in Inkster are doing, like churches? And because you're good, you're gonna be up there pretty soon. Go ahead.
Well, I would say just right off, we got to bring our schools back. We got to bring the Inkster Public School District back, whether it's a technical district or it's a community district, but that's the first thing. And then, of course, you got my number. You know, you always can call me. You know, I'm here for you. I've been here in the community, and I'll continue to be here in any capacity I can help, especially with kids across the board.
I want to make that time here. Let's just Let's, since we want to incorporate, let's do closing statements. Mayor, you are the first one. Mr. Nolan, closing statement.
Do you want to go too? We got time for 2 minutes. We have time. Pay attention to the timekeeper, because I don't take the mic. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
I think it's on. Okay. I think the question we have to ask ourselves, are we better off today in 2019 than we were in November of 2015? The question is overwhelmingly yes. We've accomplished a lot of things in the last 3.5 years on a very, very small budget because we got creative and we made things happen and we bought resources for the city that most of you probably didn't know about until we started discussing them tonight. But those directly affect you and the services you receive. We went from 18 firefighters in 2015 to 28 firefighters now. We have 3 new rescue ambulances and a brand new fire engine that was delivered last week to the city of Inkster. We went from 22 police officers to 28. We added a code enforcement officer to go out and write those citations. Now, once it goes to the court system, it's on the judge to do what the judge does. We are increasing the services that we provide to the city of Inkster. We've opened up 16 new businesses in the last 3.5 years. That hasn't happened in the city of Inkster in a long, long, long time. Some of those businesses are, let's see, we got Detroit Feast on Michigan Avenue, Blue Soul, 315 North, Oak Street Health, VIP Wear, Biomat USA Plasma Center, Community Tax Preparation, Chico's Coney Island, Inkster Urgent Care, Dollar General, All Things Graphic and more, Blake Bundles, Stylock Shoes, Twinkle Toes Child Care Center, the Flower Bowl, and RX Health Market. All this happened in the last 3.5 years. There's no reason grounded in logic to change the current leadership of this city, especially given the fact that my opponent served on city council when the city was driven in a ditch. The decisions they made to hire Ann Capella, the former city manager, the lack of financial oversight that they provide the city, caused us to go into state receivership. You don't have to take my word for it. You can read the financial report written by the state of Michigan. Deborah Owens is one of our local community members who was on that. Read that, page 7 and 8, and see what they attest the problems to the city of Inkster, financial problems they had back during that time. Thank you.
Shots fired, shots fired. Let me say this.
What does that mean?
Let me say this. As the former mayor pro tem during that time, Mayor, the city was going through a financial crisis only because the country was dealing with a financial crisis. Everybody knows that. 2008 to 2011, we were in a recession. The country was in a recession. So I get the tactics. However, what I'm saying is this. When we talk about businesses coming to Inkster, the 15 or 16 businesses that you named are really just poor businesses. We need to step up our business acclimate, and look at attracting businesses that's going to hire folks, bring in jobs, create a better quality of life in the city of Inkster. I love this community, and I know this much, that if I'm at the lead of this community, then I'm going to treat everybody right. I know I can't treat everybody alike, but I'm going to treat everybody right. I love you no matter what. I tell you right now, I just hate to see the room so divided, and I'm going to take the stands right now to say to you, in our community, no matter what, this is about us. It's about Inkster. It's not about anything else. It's about Inkster. And if you truly love Inkster, you'll work with me as we push our community forward to come back around to be the most, I would say, the best city. And it is the best city. The most congenial city out of my cousin's mouth. The love of our community, the love and the jewel that it is in this area. Thank you so very much.
You know, everyone talks about we was in a recession. That was true. But what everybody forget that our problems basically started when Snyder became the governor, and he took away everybody's state share of revenue. That happened first, and that was at the tune of $3 to $5 million. Those monies, that's what kept our police department, our fire department, and our staff employed. So when they took away the state share of revenue, every city in Michigan was struggling, trying to keep their fire department, police department, and their staff. Then came the recession, which happened to the whole country, just like Mr. Wimbley said. It happened to the whole country, so it made things a little worse. Not to say that, we had city manager and the treasurer that was misplacing money or doing whatever they were doing with the money, but what we did was, we talked with the governor and we went under a consent agreement instead of having an emergency manager. If we had an emergency manager, we would have had no control. Y'all would have had no control. So we had a consent agreement and we worked diligently for 4 years to come out of the debt. Mayor Nolan came in at the end of that, we already paid off all the debt that we had. So, and school debt, you know, it keeps going from 37,000 to 52,000 to 44,000. Ever since the school shut down, when the school shut down in 13, first thing we heard was it was $36 million. The question now we need to do is find out from the state or Wayne Reason how much is debt and how much is the interest really we've been taxed on. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been your council person for 11 and a half years. I've been honest with you. I've been transparent. I come to each one of your houses and have dinner with you. A glass of lemonade. But let me just say one last thing. My mission is to create and nurture the right spirit by bringing responsible and accountable government to the city of Inkster, to the citizens of Inkster. Together, we would recapture the spirit of Inkster that would promote integrity, honor, and respect to our great city. Thank you.